Farm Small, Farm Smart Daily is part of the Modern Grower Podcast Network. Check out some of our other shows like Carrot Cash Flow, the Growing Microgreens Podcast, and Farm Small, Farm Smart. Learn more about the shows using the link below. Talked a lot about this with Alec on Farm Startup.
Sure.
For people that haven't listened to that, that's on the Farm Small, Farm Smart feed. There's scenarios where everybody, I had to do it, you may have to do it, where you'd make the decision of when am I ready? And in your case, you're leaving a job that you're not being forced to leave. So the company didn't lay you off. You're not fired. The company's not shutting down, whatever. You like the job. So it's a voluntary leave. At least at this point.
Yep.
So you leave when you want. When you think about the decision to leave, being financially conservative, knowing where the farm is at, what are the check boxes you want to have checked to do that? Or what runs through your head? I think this is highly contextualized to every person. Everybody's going to be a little different. I'm really curious about your thoughts on that.
Yeah. My initial thought goes to finance right off the get-go. I think, in not necessarily speaking to our own situation, but as we've prepared for, I guess I will speak to our own situation, as we have prepared for the possibility of a transition. And honestly, my work is such that I want to be prepared that at any time I could make that jump. In consulting, work comes and goes. I've got work available now, but during the pandemic, there was nothing. Hospitals were not worried about consulting when they had patients out their ears and all of that action. I just live in a state of mind where we're preparing for the possibility that the farm could take over and pay for all of our expenses. And so the first thing we did, honestly, was we just started an emergency fund. For me, that is 1 year of our expenses. And I guess one step further back, and this is getting a little like personal finance land, but you have to figure out how much money you spend each year. I am amazed at how many people I talk to in casual situations when I bring up the awkward topic of money and they get a little squirrely, but how many people don't even know how much money they spend each year or each month? If you're going to be making any big decisions about where your money is coming from, what you're earning, you need to know how much you're spending. And without that number, it's like there's no way to even make a plan. And so figuring out what you're spending each month, it's probably good to look at that spending and say, if we had to, we could drop 10,000 of that if we wanted to cancel something. Figure out how much you spend and then figure out how low you could go realistically, and be realistic, because without realistic numbers, there's no point in doing the exercise. And then really just start saving and putting away money. We live in the world we're in, where I'm earning, and we're looking forward to this transition. We have not changed our lifestyle based on how much money we have coming in. Every penny of that excess money has gone to, whether we use a high yield savings account for our emergency fund, but we've also stockpiled money in 401ks and IRAs and things like that. Because I'm 43 right now. I don't know how long I want to work, but let's say I wanted to work till I'm 60. That's 17 more years where if the farm became our sole source of income, and right now crunching the numbers, the farm makes about a little more than half of what we spend each year. And so if we're going to make that transition
after all expenses.
Correct. Yes. So our profit at the end of the year last year was about half of what we spend each year. And so there's a gap to make up there, and you're either going to have to you're either going to have to get a part-time job and earn some more money. You're going to have to cut what you're spending, or you're going to have to start dipping into some of that savings pot. And so we've built our long-term financial plan so that we have a pot of money that we can draw from over time to fill in that gap. And I think for most people, probably as you make that transition, it's like there's never going to be a perfect time, but you better make sure you've got some of this in place and you've got a plan in place for how you're going to manage that. And in most cases, it's probably not going to be one thing or the other. It's not going to be just spending less or just earning more or just taking from savings. It's going to need to be probably all three of those things in one shape or form.
Yeah. I was thinking about the notes in advance around this is an approach to farming or starting a business that resonates with me. It's
Sure.
similar to what I did. I had a lot of savings when I left the finance world, so I didn't have to turn on business income instantly.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I think it's a ideal approach. Some naysayers may say, well, you don't have the pressure to perform right away. And yeah, maybe true, but if you're motivated, you're going to want to do it anyway, because there's also the pressure to not lose savings.
Yeah.
And it's the difference between, I once heard it explained like this. If I put a 2x4 between 200-story buildings and told you to walk across without a safety net, everybody listening to this would probably say no and be extremely nervous. If I lay it on the pavement and say walk across, everybody's doing it because the risk is a million times greater, life.
Yeah.
And that's where I think the difference lies in all this. Sure, you can do this needing it to work. And some people can handle that, some people can't. I think that probably is very personal. Your stress makeup, your familial dynamic. Everybody has to be on board if you're a spouse and everything. Your living situation has to be dialed in. You're not going to be a big spender with a bunch of debt trying to do that. You're probably pretty frugal, tight with debt. Everybody's on board. And if you go the route this way, it's okay. I don't have to be necessarily concerned with how much am I making this month. I can be concerned about what's the best decision for the business today to take the business where it needs to go, which sometimes doesn't align with I need $500 to get to break even this month.
Yeah.
So I may have to forego some plan for the future because I need the money now.
Today's episode is brought to you by Modern Grower. Let's face it, seeding in the nursery is tedious and time-consuming. Turn the drudgery into efficiency with the time and labor-saving Quick Click Seeder by Modern Grower. The Quick Click can seed a full nursery tray in seconds. It's fully compatible with all trays on the market, such as paper pot, airstrip, cell trays, prop tech, and more. The Quick Click can also be used for microgreens. Cut your time spent seeding by 75% with a Quick Click Seeder available at shop.moderngrower.co.